Judgment says everything about the one doing the judging and nothing about what is being judged. Other people's opinion of you is actually them revealing themselves, and it has nothing to do with you. If you accepted yourself completely, fully, loved yourself completely and fully as a perfect fractal of God, which you are, the voice in your head would stop. Earth is what I call a pan frequential being. Earth is alive and conscious. Once you look deeply, you'll realize that money is innocent of everything you've ever accused it of. It's just energy. And I want you to be able to command energy as you deem fit. We are constantly being given messages, and the messages that we're given, they're given to us in pure energetics. There's one moment of creation seen from an infinite amount of perspectives, all happening right now. Past and future is just an illusion of our conditioned mind. It's the greatest illusion and greatest game ever invented, which is why, hey everybody, I just want to let you know this is a completely different video than I have ever done before. So I had noticed that someone made a comment on a social media post that their book club was reviewing and discussing Change Your Mind. And believe it or not, that stuff still kind of wows me that there's groups of people reading my book and discussing it. So I saw the comment and I jumped in. I said, hey, you know what? If you want me to crash your book club and answer some questions for a while, I'd be happy to do so. They took me up on the offer. So this video is essentially me crashing with, then at that point with permission, crashing the book club. And it was a wonderful experience. So just something to keep in mind. If you have a book club and you're discussing supercharged self-healing, change your mind, or access superconsciousness, and part of you would like me to crash your book club as well, leave a comment on this video and we'll see if we can make something happen with our schedules. One more thing before we get into the video, I'm doing a class this weekend. Which money avatar are you? This is going to be revelatory. I know most of us are familiar with archetypes, the wizard or the orphan or the anti-hero. Wait till you see what I've put together in terms of the archetypes or avatars in regards to money. You are going to find out which avatar you are, and you're going to begin to understand how money is happening for you. Don't miss this class. Click on the link below, and I'll see you on the other side. Enjoy the video.
So welcome, RJ. We have been really enjoying so much of your work. We feel like you've been with us this whole time. Our book club has been covering Change Your Mind. And we're going to be going over the first 80 pages today. We've selected some really great questions for you. We've already read the self-healing in our book club, and it has just really affected us in such a positive way. It's been life-changing. And the beautiful thing that I find with self-healing, supercharged self-healing, is that it's affected us all differently. You don't have to have, it doesn't just fix one issue. It's just whatever you need, it's there for you. So thank you for that. And
You're
then
most welcome. You're most welcome.
the one of the main reasons that we started even reading your books is because of the next book, Access Superconsciousness. We're really excited about this. So we're going to be reading your stuff probably through summer.
Well, fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I hope it keeps you interested.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure that it will. So, how are you doing tonight?
Well, it's way past my bedtime. No, it's I'm doing very well. It was a busy day today, and I'm in Arkansas, so no, I'm doing very well. Lots of things going on. Lots of things. I wish I could talk about my new book a little bit, but
Oh, yes.
um,
We would love
it's
to hear that.
it's called The Law of Attention. So
Mm.
the law of attention is one of the eternal and immutable laws of existence itself, and it's a law that I don't think is really it's never really talked about. It's certainly the power of it in terms of how it shapes our reality. I don't think is really understood. And I also feel, which is why I wrote a book on it, is because I don't think humanity is even aware of how this law is really being used to direct and control our consciousness. And so I just felt it was time to write a book about the law of attention. And it's also it's my favorite book. And I say that every time a book comes out. I say it's my favorite book. But The Law of Attention, and I mean this, The Law of Attention really is my favorite book. It is the most unique book that I've written. It's different from the first three. The first three, as all of you know, is a very prescriptive, right? So I give a higher consciousness understanding of something, and then an actionable exercise meditation protocol to bring about the tangible result of the teaching itself. So the Law of Attention has prescriptive elements to it, but it also has elements that's not prescriptive, that it's not necessarily designed as a prescriptive book, but it is designed to be able to access things that required me to access more of myself. And when I say that, what I really mean is communion of other incarnations of my higher self, or what we would call my other incarnations, but that's not really accurate. It's incarnations of the higher self. So there are aspects of this book, which is why it's very, very unique, that you'll literally hear from directly from these other incarnations. Also, you'll hear directly from God as well. So it has elements unlike the first three, and I'm super, super excited about it. And the only thing I'll say about it right now is that it's too controversial for my old publisher. It's too much for them. And I really mean it. It's too much. So we're now in discussion. We're in discussion with some other publishers that are very interested in the book. So at this moment, when it's going to come out is still a little bit up in the air. It will come out. The Audible version I'll narrate, and that is with Dreamscape, and Dreamscape is who I did Access Superconsciousness with. So I'll be narrating it again with Dreamscape. But who's going to do the print and the ebook? We're still discussing with various publishers. But it's the most unique book I've ever written, and I can't wait for everyone to have it in their hands.
And it sounds exactly like the information that we want, right? We've been on this with you and in our own paths. And it just, thank goodness that we're talking about it. It's just kind of like reminds me a little bit of the movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and
Mm-hmm.
how we can access and access and access and access. So, I am really excited. And what is it called, or do you know the name yet?
Yeah, it's called The Law of Attention.
Oh, the Law of Attention.
And so the subtitle and the subtitle will probably be hotly debated. So I can't say because I can't say what it is yet because I have to be in agreement with the publisher. So we'll see about what the subtitle and subtitle turns out to be.
Oh, that's so exciting. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's really, 40 years ago when I was first started on the path, people said things differently. They weren't not quite as forthright. I mean, I can go back and read Deepak Chopra's books and go, "Oh, it was all there, but it
Mm.
was written in a way that most people could understand, and so I'm really excited for you to just say it as it is. So wonderful.
Thank you.
Um, so on the questions,
Hmm.
we're talking a lot. I kind of was noticing when I was looking through them today, we're talking a lot about that wobbly, sort of messy in between part from, how you give the example of the sheets and the blankets, about the ego mind identity making these little divots. And man, it's just so exciting to think that we can get to a point where our sheet is more pooled, but in the same time, we're still human and we're still, need to live on this earth. So, you ready for your first question?
Yeah, fire away.
Okay, great, good. So on page 2 in the introduction, for those of you who have your books, you talk about running ourselves ragged to serve everything other than our own joy, peace, happiness, liberation, and spiritual evolution, right? So, and I really, wow. And many of us, to take that slightly more towards women for a moment, we're really taught at a very young age, right? To absolutely, we're held up and honored for the amount we give and give and give. And it's from a very young age, we're rewarded for our endless giving. And then we have a little bit of time, maybe when we're figuring out what we're going to do for our career or jobs, and then we become mothers. And then it's just this endless giving, giving, giving. And then there's people pleasing, and there's other, and then we get our self-esteem from it. And even our hormones, I was thinking today, even our hormones um help us to do that, because when the estrogen starts to drop off, then we don't want to help everyone as much anymore. And so
Mm.
there's sort of a, an interesting thing that happens there. So I guess my question to you really is, now we're trying to jump to that joy and peace and happiness and liberation and spiritual evolution. But gosh, to be one way for so long and have all of society support it, how do we jump from that give
Mm.
in into this liberation when it kind of sometimes feels like it's selfish. Sometimes it feels narcissistic. And I was just wondering, while we're in process, is there a way to kind of leapfrog over that messy part in the middle where we're still trying to please everyone?
Yeah, okay, that's a great question, by the way, and it also shows like that there's been deep consideration going on to even form a question like that, by the way. So, congratulations that you're actually working with yourself in that way, just to begin with. Um, there's a couple of things. As you know, I tend to go on and on and on because there's so much for me to share. I'll try not to do that because I know you have other questions. Otherwise, I'll talk for 20 minutes just on that question. Okay. So, um, okay. So the first thing I want to say is there's no liberation of consciousness through the labeling of consciousness. Okay. So what does that mean when I say that, right? So when we start to give these labels, like when we say narcissistic, or when we say we get our identity from other people's perception and therefore their reaction to us, right? What we're really doing is we are trying to take the I am, which all of us are, which is a fractal of God, which is everything and lacks nothing, and we're trying to take something that has room for everything and is everything, and we're trying to squeeze it into this little role
Mm,
of, let's say, a mom or entrepreneur, or uh, being the caregiver, or I mean, we could pick a thousand of them, right? Okay. The reason why it's uncomfortable and unfulfilling is because we are more than every role ever added together, and we are already and always will be more than that. So
mm,
when we start to label, right, what we're doing is we're constraining consciousness. We're not liberating our consciousness. So the first thing that we want to stop doing is labeling things, especially ourselves. So if we can do away with labels, and when I say labels, I also mean roles, right? So because a role is a label. So that is the starting point for the liberation of consciousness. And I've talked about this many times. It's probably, I mean, you would think I would remember. I wrote Change Your Mind, but I wrote it many years ago. But I probably mentioned it in there in one of the meditation, instantaneous meditation magic tricks that I talk about all the time. And one of which is to pretend that you just arrived here, no past, no future. Okay. Now, when you do that, you stop thinking. And what happens is the real you, the I am, the fractal of God, your spirit, or whatever word you want to use, is now present, and there's no conditioning going on. None whatsoever. Now, at that moment when this happens for everyone, when they do that meditation magic trick, that's the real you. In that moment, you're not playing any role. There's no conditioning going on. You're not trying to fit in. You're not getting your identity from other people's perception and therefore their reaction. In that moment, you're free.
mm,
Now, it's as simple as that. Now, the key to this is our ability to maintain that level of freedom and liberation through being present, just being present. And then your beingness, your I am, the beingness is now online. And then you simply take your beingness and you put it into your doingness, your beingness into your doingness. And that being, what we really are, is free, formless, and unconditioned. And in that moment, we return to that. And then it's to live that way is really the key. And that takes away all the layers of programs, roles, ideologies, concepts, beliefs, all the things that we have bought into since we arrived here. And so the key is to return to what we are, which is just pretend that you just arrived here. No past and no future. And then from there you operate with joy, what excites you, what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, and don't give credence to other people's opinions, reactions, their judgment of you. Judgment says everything about the one doing the judging and nothing about what is being judged. So when someone judges you or anything else, or when you judge someone else, you're really just revealing all of your conditioned mind. You're revealing your beliefs, your concepts, your ideologies, your roles, your shoulds, your should nots, right? So other people's opinion of you is actually them revealing themselves, and it has nothing to do with you. So
Yes.
if you can keep that in mind, that will lessen the weight or gravitas that we give to other people's opinion of us. So
Okay.
it's a combination of returning to what we are, and we can do that by pretending we just arrived here, no past, no future. And then the beingness is online, and then allow the beingness to flow into your doingness from moment to moment. And that's the fastest, most effective way to do it. The key is every time that we catch ourselves drifting back into our ideologies, our roles, our concepts, our beliefs, our shoulds, and our should nots, is to stop and start over and pretend that you just arrived here, no past, no future. And the
Okay.
more that you do that, the more that you'll normalize being present, which means there is no conditioned mind. And you'll begin to experience what you really are, which is joy, love, peace, inner equanimity, passion, excitement, and power. And that doesn't require any training whatsoever because that's what we actually are.
Lovely. And what I pull from that too is that if you were being, then that means we're not concerned with the narcissism or the selfishness, right? It sort of cancels it out naturally.
Yeah,
So,
that's it. You got it because that's the labeling. So that's what we want to refrain from. So the labeling, this is good, this is bad. That's narcissistic, that's not narcissistic, right? So the I am, the pure beingness, right? It doesn't have those qualities. The quality of it has is presence, and woven within the screen of our consciousness is our presence, which is our depth of love and wisdom, whose subsets are our talents and abilities. That has nothing to do with narcissism at all. That's the labeling of consciousness. So if you refrain from labeling yourself, which is really the key, you'll start to feel more like yourself. And that's where all the joy in life actually comes from. It comes from being yourself, being authentic, because the I am is that vibration of pure joy and love. So we refrain from the judgment via labeling of consciousness, calling it this and
okay.
calling it that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it essentially just by being, we're erasing the contrast to it.
You got it. There's no conditioned mind that is then putting something on top of what is through a label, right? Because before we got here, there's no such thing as narcissism. There's no such thing as any of these things. So none of us are really that. It's the labeling of behaviors, actions, the way that someone operates. If you refrain from doing that with yourself, you'll eventually refrain from doing that with others. And then you'll actually feel like yourself. And then you'll actually see people for who they really are rather than seeing them through the lens of a label.
Beautiful. Thank you. And we will be talking about judgment because that's one of the habits that we're going to talk about. Thank you so much. That was beautiful and so tangible. So
Oh,
thank
you're
you.
most welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so on page 3, still in the introduction towards the bottom, for those who are looking at your book, you talk about prior reincarnating and how we consciously choose this experience, right? Um, and the human vehicle, which is the body, the frequency, version of Earth, the script, life plan, and team light or darkness. So what we want to know, being mystic nerds here, is what do you mean version of Earth and team light or dark?
Okay. So so when I say version of Earth, and again, I'll try to refrain from going on and on. Okay.
It's
So
okay. We're so happy you're here. Go for it.
I can't I can't help it. There's so much to share that I end up just doing this like crazy. So I apologize ahead of time. Okay. So a version of Earth. Okay. So the shortest way I'll explain that is that Earth itself is a sentient being like us but different. But so Earth is alive and conscious. Okay. Now, what I don't think humanity understands is that Earth is what I call a pan-frequential being. Well, what does that mean? Okay, what it means is that Earth exists in all these different frequencies. So the Earth, there's 12 versions of Earth in terms of it existing in different frequencies. So it's just as an analogy, think of your radio, right? So if you're listening to 96.5 and there's a certain song playing on there, and then you change the dial, there's a whole nother radio station, 97.5, and it's playing a completely different genre of music, but it's still your radio. But there's all these different stations, and all this different music is all happening right now. So there's an Earth, our Earth, that exists in the third frequency, and that's where we're at. We're in the third frequency, not the third dimension. It's not accurate. We're in the third frequency. There's a whole nother version of Earth in the fourth frequency. There's a whole nother version of Earth in the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So there's a version of Earth in all these different frequencies. So when I say version of Earth, I'm really talking about that. So those are higher frequencies. And then each one of those higher frequencies has too many parallel conditions and realities going on to even put a number on them. So when I say version of Earth, I'm really talking about the version that all of us have chosen to experience, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, it's still true. No, hopefully that makes sense. So the and when I talk about team light and dark, I'm really simplifying things when I say that, and it might not have been the best way to say it actually, but for the mind which sees everything as this or that, right or wrong, good or bad, positive or negative, which is why I decided to use team light or dark. It's much deeper than that, but we can think of team light or dark in the generalist, simplest, and not the most accurate terms as like someone who's working towards positivity, evolution of consciousness, someone who's approaching things from a place of connectivity, communion, someone who's approaching things from the idea of that we all are one thing, temporarily individualized, and we're working towards all coming together. So we could say that that would be Team Light. And then we could just take, again, I'm simplifying, Team Dark would be someone operating in the opposite way, essentially really just out for themselves, uh, very concerned with the false self, and whose interests lie in their own or the interests of the few, and the interests of all and the many, they don't really care. So these are your billionaires, these are your
Mm,
politicians, these are your movie stars, these are all the people that we're told to look up to.
mm.
So they would be Team Dark. Yeah, that's what I said. And most of us would be Team Light. And that's a simple version, but
Sure.
hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, yes, thank you. That
Sure.
does. This is really close to my heart right now because we're experiencing it. So let me try to get through this one, okay? So we have created, right? It's no secret, a pretty volatile mental environment for our youth with
Mm.
media pinning constant barrage of painful separation tactics every minute. And I mean, RJ, gosh, when I was young, right, our big stress was waiting for concert tickets. 3 days, right? Who was going to do that? Who, and before they sold out, and getting a ride to the beach and getting a ride to the river, and who had gas money and who had money for Bartles and James. I mean, it was just a
Mhm.
totally different time. And we were in touch with such joy, right?
Mhm.
Jumping off the bridges to go into the river. There was such joy. And I felt like that really put us in contact with our I am, right? And so that sort of balanced this harshness that's all over the place right now. And I really can see how our youth is affected. I mean, it's tragic, and they're checking out mentally
Mhm.
or checking out altogether because they don't have enough of that connection with them. So my question to you, and I know that we cannot go backwards because that's not the way it works, but how do we serve to redirect this insane separation for our youth and bring back that joy?
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I feel this. I feel the same way you do. Um, Leading by example. No one likes to hear someone talk, right? And I don't have any kids in this incarnation, or any children. So, but take this the right way. I feel like everyone is my child. So
I was just going to say, we're all your children.
yeah. So I really do feel that way. So what we want to do is we want to lead by an example. We want to be an embodiment of what it is that we desire for others in their life, right? Instead of wanting kids to have all the things that we didn't have, what we want to desire is to have them, to give them all the teachings and the understandings that we didn't get as a kid. That would be really tremendous. Not different technologies and different toys. Who cares? So we really want to be the embodiment. We want to lead by an example. And when someone sees someone that is happy, joyous, leading a life full of purpose and meaning,
Mhm.
and spreading joy, having their own joy in their own life, if someone wants that, they'll get a whiff of it, and then you'll be leading by example. And this is really the only way to do it. If everyone sees everyone buried in their phone, always stressed out, always anxious, always worried about this, then of course that's their role model, whether it's their parents or everyone that they're around is doing that. They get their face buried in their phone 24/7, right? So it's always about leading by an example, being an embodiment, being joyous, showing people what that's really like, because people are like,
Mm.
that's impossible. You can't really live that way. Of course, that's our natural state. Actually, this is what we all are. If we removed and cleaved away all the programs, all the societal conditioning, all the brainwashing, all the beliefs, concepts, and ideologies and roles, we would all discover that essentially we're the same at the core. We're God, different levels of sentience, but we would realize that we're all the same. And that core is this joy, is
Mm.
this absolute joy and passion for life, passion for each other, passion to be here, excited to be here. So the key is to show people that by being the embodiment of that. And
Mm.
that's the key. That's what we have to do. Telling someone to do this or do that while we're doing the opposite is not going to be effective, and it's just going to fall on deaf ears. It will actually just create resentment, really.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
the key is for us to do it ourselves, and then those that are interested in the same thing, if they see that and they want the same thing, then they will start to emulate, and they'll ask you, how did you learn this? How do you do this? And now you're teaching them something that's worthwhile. So you're teaching them about happiness, you're teaching them about joy, fulfillment, purpose,
Mhm.
what the real point is of being here and knowing yourself. So the key is to, from my perspective, the key is to lead by an example. They're never ever, just like we never have either, they're never ever going to find what they're looking for in terms of a true, um um I guess I'll use the word leader. A real leader, an authentic one, is never going to be supported or promoted by the algorithm. It'll be just the opposite. So it's never going to be readily available. So I actually feel it's our job, in terms of the younger people, for them to see what it's like, for you to be it, to be the embodiment. And then if they're really interested, they'll start to investigate what it is that you did to bring about this state of being. And then that's how we can actually make a difference for kids, from my perspective.
Thank you. That's really valuable, just the embodiment. one thing that sort of showed its way when you were speaking was how I think now also what happens, we say, let's go have fun.
Mm.
So you're kind of relying on vacation or a Disneyland or a camping when really it needs to be through the day, because it's not enough, right? It's not enough to just compartmentalize the embodiment of fun, but to have it permeate the being. So
Yes.
so thank
Well,
you for that
you're
embodiment.
welcome. Well
Mm.
said. Absolutely well said. We keep thinking that the answer is outside, whether it's in a going to Disneyland or whatever, that the answer is somewhere out there. No, it's not. There is no out there. That might be too much to say to a kid, but anyway, but there really is no out there. I mean, it's literally all happening within you and it's just projected outward. It's the greatest illusion and greatest game ever invented, which is why, frankly, why I incarnate here on with working with our God and working within the multiverse, because I feel it's the greatest piece of imagination ever thought into existence ever, which is the multiversal structure, which is a multi-frequential, multi-dimensional hall of mirrors designed for self-mastery, because everything is reflected outward in terms of your inner state of being. So when we start to work with ourself and marinate within ourself, the joy and the fun is actually our natural state, and then that just gets emanated into our doingness. It's not so much seeking out something that's fun. You already feel light and happy and joyous. You are the fun, and then you bring that into all the different facets of your life.
Hmm. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're
That was
welcome.
very empowering, you know.
Hmm.
So, okay, so no, I just so again, that's an emotional
Hmm.
um thing. So thank you. On page 11, second paragraph, and again, we are kind of talking a little bit about everything everywhere all at once. I mean, we were crazy about that movie. We had showings, we invited people over. It was so great, and how it sort of mirrors the whole Kali folklore of
Hmm.
when the Michelle Yeoh character busts the glass and then busts out into all of her different aspects. It was just super exciting.
Hmm.
But what we would like to hear you speak about, RJ, is can you explain how our past, present, and future incarnations are all happening now?
Oh, I get it. I get asked that all the
I
time.
know. I'm sorry I had to. I've been trying to figure it out for 40 years.
Okay. It's okay. So the first thing I'll say is that our lower consciousness or our human mind can never experience what it is that we're just about to talk about. Okay. So it's not accessible to the lower consciousness. So essentially, and let me just explain the lower consciousness first, because this might shed light onto why we're not tangibly experiencing past, present, and future simultaneously, right? The first thing I would say is we're not designed to. Okay, that is what I said. So this is the temporary experience in what it's like to have a limitation. Okay, so it's important to understand that. So the human condition in the lower frequencies, our mind is not set up to experience past, present, and future simultaneously. Because if we did that, we wouldn't get the most out of this experience directly, and therefore we would be not necessarily garnering or all of the accrual of sentience, which is the deepening of our love and wisdom, whose subsets are our talents and abilities. We wouldn't be getting as much out of this experience if we were experiencing everything simultaneously. So we're not designed, the human mind is not designed to experience that. Now, our higher mind absolutely can do that. It does require, I would say, near complete detachment. And I would
Mhm.
also say it also requires an actual level of self mastery to be able to experience multiple realities simultaneously. I used to teach a meditation on actually how to do that. I maybe I'll bring it back someday. But anyway, so okay, so how does this work that past, present, and future are all happening right now? Okay, so we have to think about incarnation. Okay, all incarnations happen within the first full dimension, which is 13 frequencies, but only the first 12 have any action. The 13th frequency is like a viewing station. Okay. So what that means is that all space time is existing within these 12 frequencies. Remember, I talked about Earth being a pan frequential being, a version here, and then here, and then here, and then here. Okay. Okay. So where we come from, oh, I don't have my stuffed animal, my octopus. I would use my octopus. Anyway, okay. So we are a projection of our higher self, just like a tentacle is kind of dropped down by the octopus. So the tentacle is part of the octopus. Okay. So you and me, we are a projection of our higher self. Now, our higher self does not reside within the first full dimension, it actually exists outside of space and time. So the higher self and all its projections are outside of space time. And it's just a matter of where attention is put is when it experiences all the myriad of past, present, and futures that are all going on right now. There's one moment of creation seen from an infinite amount of perspectives. And when we're beyond space time, it's just a matter of where we put our attention. And we would realize that this is happening now, this is happening now, this is happening now, and this is happening now. It's all happening right now. Past and future is just an illusion of our conditioned mind. That's all it is. It's always now. It's always now, which means past, present, and future are always right now, and they're all happening right now. And it has to be happening right now. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to tap into a so-called past or future if it wasn't happening right now. So I know this is so crazy, but that's actually how it works. So we would have to go beyond space time to actually experience these different realities that are occurring right now. I'll use another analogy. Satellite radio or satellite TV. It doesn't matter, right? Okay. So you can only watch one TV station at a time, right? So whatever you're tuned into. So that's like our local environment. This is what I was talking about, that the human mind was not set up to experience everything at once. It would be overload. You just shut down. I'm telling you, it would be overload. I promise you. So with a satellite TV, we can only watch one station at a time, but yet there's like 5,000 stations and they're all broadcasting something right now. Now, are you able to tap into that while you're watching your one show? No, but are those things happening? Are they being broadcast right now? Yes. Can you tap into it? No. Right? Now, you'd have to change your dial, change the electromagnetic frequency of your brain. You'd have to change the dial to tap into another reality. You'd have to turn the station to get another TV station, but then you lose the one that you were just watching. But they're all being broadcast and it's all happening right now. It's just a matter of perspective. It's all a matter of perspective. And our perspective, when we're having an incarnation into the lower frequencies, is attuned to and part of our local environment, which is kind of like one TV station when there's 5,000. And because the body mind complex is part of and attuned to the local environment, it doesn't have the bandwidth or the receptivity to tap into what's happening in a non-local environment because we're not attuned to it or part of it. But yet it's happening now, just like all those other stations are all broadcasting things. So I use the analogies because it's kind of the only way to until you experience it directly. But there's one moment of creation seen from an infinite amount of perspectives. And when we start to understand that all of this projections are derived from the experience of being beyond space time, and there's only one moment of creation, which is right now, we start to actually experience and can experience that everything is actually happening at this moment. It's all simultaneous, just like the movie. It's all simultaneous and it's all concurrent, but it's where our focus is, right?
Mm.
It's like when you pick up Change Your Mind, right? And you open up the book and you put your attention on the first page 70. I'm just making it up. You open up the book to page 70 and you put your attention on the first word of the first sentence of the first paragraph of page 70. Now, in that moment, that's the only reality that you can experience. But yet, the whole book is already written.
Mm.
So it's a matter of where you put your attention. And again, this comes back to the human mind cannot put attention on all 225 pages and every single word of all 225 pages at the same time. We weren't designed to do that. The higher mind can do that, but it is an actual aspect of self mastery. And it's not required in terms of our own joy and our own evolution and our own happiness to be able to do that. But that is the understanding of how past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously, concurrently, and it's all happening right now.
Sometimes, sometimes I feel like I'm butting up against one or two of them. Like when things, I just wake up in the morning and I just go, who is messing with me today?
Yeah,
I mean, I just feel like sometimes it's right there. But,
it
you know,
is. It
trying to,
is.
yeah,
The
trying to,
highest the highest frequency is right here. So this is, I don't think we really understand this. We think it's somewhere or there. It's all right here, right now. The highest frequency is right here, right now. It's just, are we attuning ourselves to it? And then this lends itself to past, present, and future. It's all happening right here, right now. But our body mind complex is attuned to just page 70, right? Just this one local environment. So therefore, it's like, well, it's beyond me. It's not. It's not. It's beyond the body mind complex, but you're not the body mind complex either. So it's not beyond you. It's actually within you, and it's actually happening right now. But we can't use our intellect and five physical senses in order to experience these things. So that's really the key, and this is where detachment and being able to change the electromagnetic frequency of our brain to be able to experience these higher frequencies, and also where when we have complete dominion, or not complete, when we have great facility over the body mind complex, we'll begin to experience these so-called supernatural things, and our we'll start to expand our understanding of ourself and the greater reality.
oof, sounds good. I always make the example that there's no way an ant in an ant hill on the mountain is going to ever understand or have the capacity to understand those little light beings that are down way down in the ocean. They're just not meant to know about each
Mm-hmm.
other. So that's kind of how what I say. But I'll go to another question. I have so many other questions, but I'll stick to the script. But thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It's fun. It's a fun, I think that's one of the things that when you first start on the path that you start to realize that it's a circle it's one of the things that's the most intriguing because you really want to understand it, but it really is kind of impossible. But thank you for I love this idea of it all happening at once. Okay, so thank you. And so obviously our EMI, the ego mind identity, or the chattering brain, for those who haven't read the phrasing here, I find the ego mind identity to be this jealous, unruly beast, right?
Mm.
So do you have any tips? This is a question that came in on how to pretend we just arrived here without a past or future. So in other words, when I try to do it, sometimes if the brain is going nuts, if you have any insight on how to make that a little bit easier, although it is kind of a hack, right? It's already shortened. So maybe
Yeah,
just
that
practice.
Yeah, that the instantaneous meditation magic tricks will bring us into meditation or being present in just 1 second. And so I wanted to uh, give everyone the ability to experience themselves directly and experience, because the self is meditation. We exist prior to thought, prior to emotion, prior to the body, right? So, and now we can do it in just 1 second. So I don't think there's anything faster that I know of, anything faster, but there are multiple instantaneous meditation magic tricks. Pretend you just arrived here, no past, no future. The mind just stops, right?
Mhm.
It literally just stops. So um, you can also just every time you have a thought, you can just say, that's just a thought, that's not me. And then another pop and just do it again. That's just a thought, that's not me. what you'll find is that eventually, I promise, eventually the thoughts stop.
Mm,
And I mean it. They stop. It is possible through dedication, diligence, and hard work. That's what I said. That we can eventually be in perpetual meditation where there's not a constant voice in our head.
mhm.
This takes practice and dedication. Now, it's one thing to do an instantaneous meditation magic trick, and all of a sudden you're calm, and then we're present, and that lasts for about 5 seconds. And then we go right back to, right? So, right. So we're constantly bombarded. I mean, this has a lot to do with it. Right? None of us have removed ourselves. We don't live in a forest. Most of us are a cave, right? That'd be too easy, right? So the challenge is to be able to master oneself even when being bombarded with constant stimulus. So
Mhm.
it's just practice. We get good at what we do repetitively. It
Yes.
doesn't matter what it is. So if we want to get the most joy out of our life, the most success, no matter what your definition of success is, it's going to be in direct correlation to how present you can be. So the key, how present, and let each now just flow into each now without bringing this along with you, right?
Mm,
Then the real you is leading the incarnation.
mm,
And in the beginning, it seems really daunting because the mind, the lower consciousness, the programmed mind doesn't stop running programs. It just doesn't stop. It's constantly thinking about something. Past, future, past, future, past, future, right? That's all it ever does, right? By breaking the habit of thinking, by just being present, by using instantaneous meditation magic tricks, will unlock all the success that you can have in your life. It all has to do with your ability to be present. That's the key. So instantaneous meditation magic trick, do one after the other, after the other, whatever works. If standing on your head works, then 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 stand on your head. It's just not practical. But whatever it is that brings you to the present moment and stops the voice in your head,
Mhm.
do it. And then every time the voice kicks up, do it again. That's just a thought. That's not me. And then another. That's just a thought. That's not me. Right now, I'll give you one more insight. Okay, if we completely and utterly loved ourselves. Now, when I say love, let me make it accept. I'll use the word accept in this. If we completely accepted ourselves, 100%, warts and all, whether we got 10 pounds to lose, 40 pounds to lose, or our hair is turning gray, all the societal conditioning and brainwashing, just F all that. Okay, so if we can accept ourselves fully as a fractal of God, which we are, fully, your conditioned mind will stop.
Mm.
It'll just stop. So everyone just feel into what I just said. If you accepted yourself completely, fully, loved yourself completely and fully as a perfect fractal of God, which you are, the voice in your head would stop and it would never return. So that's another way to look at it is if you stop judging yourself or taking on board other people's judgment, which is them just revealing their own brainwashing, as we talked about before,
Yes.
you would effortlessly be present. You wouldn't have to practice or try to meditate because the self is meditation. And when you're in complete acceptance and love of the self, that's the self with the capital S, the voice in the head is gone.
Love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff here. Okay. Look at the time. Be respectful of your time. Oh my goodness. Okay. Um, okay. So, and I do definitely want to get to this question. So I'm glad we're here because we're talking about judgment. Came up earlier, has come up again. And so page 28, for those of you who are looking at your book, habit number 7, judgment.
Mm.
So I have found personally that judgment can be a crucial life skill when you're growing up. I mean, when I was very young, I learned quickly how to decide who a person was. whether or not it was to size people up, right? And whether or not they were safe humans. And but as an adult, right, I am still looking in the back of my Jeep every time I get into my vehicle because there's that little girl or that 22-year-old that was had to be, and I think it comes from judgment. I know it sounds like paranoia, but it's sort of a cousin. But there was that person still inside of me, that 22-year-old that used to live maybe in a sketch neighborhood. And I just I would love to hear how, as we're trying to release the marbles, the indentations, to go from to not be judgmental, but since it was such a crucial life skill for a time, and not just for women, right? Not just for women. Um, how do we maintain boundaries and keep ourselves safe while we're trying to release the indentations of the ego mind identity? Because I know that once you do kind of get there, and I've noticed it myself, right? I mean, as I continue to grow, you know, things go away because I'm not focusing on them. So, any ideas there?
Yes, many. Okay. So
Let's see how much time we got. Okay.
okay, so the use of so judgment, I think that in the way that you're using judgment, that we're talking about more like survival instincts and not necessarily judgment. And so judgment would be like, oh, that person needs to look at that person's hair, or oh, that person really let themselves go, or I bet they don't have any money. Oh, I'm better than them. I got more money than. So judgment, right, based upon our brainwashing. So judgment and survival instincts are two different things. And so I
Okay.
kind of feel like sometimes there's cross pollination for you when you ask that question about
Yeah,
judgment.
yeah.
Okay, so judgment is more in the lines of what I said before. Look at their hair, look at how they're dressed, or whatever. Okay, so that's judgment.
Okay.
Survival instincts is something different. We don't ever want to get rid of survival instincts ever. So especially when we're having an incarnation in the physical universe, this body can demise quite easily, right? It's not. Never mind, I'll go off on a tangent. Okay, so we want to keep our survival instincts in tune all the time. Now, we shouldn't be, or it's not optimal to always be in a fear-based state and concerned about survival. Okay, so that's when it crosses the line and we're just operating out of fear. So once we start to know ourselves and we trust our instinct, we don't have to worry about, can I trust him or her? If you can trust yourself, you already know. And so what we want to do is remove the idea that I have to figure him out or her out or this location or this neighborhood or this. Don't do that. Trust your own intuition. If you know yourself, you'll know who to interact with, what to say, what not to say, how to say it, where to go, where not to go, when to do it, when not to do it. So you remove the idea of trying to figure out other things and you know yourself, and then you can trust your own instinct and your own intuition about what feels right and what doesn't. Okay. So to me, that's really the way to operate. It's impossible to sit here and try to figure out, can I trust you? Can I trust you? Can I trust you? Learn to trust yourself and you'll never have to worry about that. You'll know where to go and where not to go, who to deal with and who not to deal with. Instinctively, you'll know. So,
Perfect.
so that's the key.
Yeah, yeah. Good. I
Survive.
love that.
Yeah, and survival instincts you never turn off, but it doesn't mean you operate out of fear, right? So you don't operate out of fear, operate out of being present, and then when you get the signal that something's off, then that's when you course correct.
Trust your instincts
Yeah, completely. But in order to
and your
do that,
intuition is what I meant.
correct. Yeah, and in order to do that, you have to be in alignment with yourself. And if we're not in alignment with ourselves, we're not going to get the signal. So we are constantly being given messages, and the messages that we're given, they're given to us in pure energetics, which gets translated by the body mind complex into thoughts and emotions,
Mhm.
right? So we're constantly be given information, but if we're present, we'll be able to take those in and it'll get translated. If we're not present and we're always in our head, we're going to miss all the signals and we won't really know what's really going on with ourselves or the environment because we're already preoccupied in our own head. Does
Yes.
that Does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense. I'm so happy that you said that, and I'm glad that I even asked the question because it makes complete sense. If you're trusting your intuition, and if you're, I mean, for me, it's practicing, right? Being in my, being here now, and then I don't have to come from a paranoid or fear-based or what I was calling judgment. I've been wrong about my judgment lately. People have been very kind, and that little girl in me was going, who are like, whoa, that's you approached awfully quickly, and so that's just something that I need to go, okay, be intuitive, be loving, and so thank you so much. And
You're
oh
welcome.
gosh, we're just about out of time here, but I am so grateful for the questions that we were able to discuss tonight, RJ. Thank you so much. And please tell us, how can we see more of you? I know that you are on YouTube and Instagram, but please tell us. I know you have a course coming up and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, there's probably too much of me out there as it is. So, uh, right. I never stop talking. So, the YouTube channel, obviously, there's a lot of content that I put out there. I think last we checked, there's well over 200 hours of just material, free material that I keep producing. I am always doing a class or a course, for the most part, always doing a class or a course. I'm dedicating a lot of 2025 in terms of classes, courses, and workshops in regards to manifestation and manifestation directly relating to money, because I know how much most of us struggle, and I certainly have in the past struggle about how to manifest wealth. And there's nothing wrong with the material. Money is just energy, so there's no reason to get triggered by money. Money allows us to do things for ourselves, for our family, for our kids, for our friends, for our neighborhood, for our community, for the world. So we don't need to have these weird feelings about money. It's just energy, and there's no reason to be triggered by energy. So I'm doing a class, my third different course on money manifestation. It's called The Mechanics of Money. It starts Sunday. Now what I share is unlike what anyone else shares. I come from a very, very different understanding of things, and my understanding is tangible. I'm the embodiment of the understanding of enlightened metaphysics. And so I know exactly the step by step process, the order of creation itself. I know the desire, intention, thought, emotion, action, and behaviors that are required in terms of being in sync to actually create wealth. It doesn't matter what your passion is or how you want to do it. If you're interested in improving the quality of your life drastically and being able to do more things for your family, it's the course is unlike anything. It starts Sunday. I can't recommend it enough. And like I said, I'm going to take most of my classes and courses in 2025. I'm going to focus on people being able to do better for themselves financially, because our financial vitality, I don't think we really realize that it affects pretty much every decision that we make throughout the entire day.
Sure, the what you eat.
Everything. Can we do this? Can we go here? Can we buy this? Can we afford this? Can we do, I mean, it's just like it's constant, right? And I just simply want better for humanity. I want humanity to be able to live in a more of a conscious, abundant state, because it is our birthright and it's our natural state. And so the course that starts on Sunday, it's every 2 weeks. I'll be doing 3 live trainings. There's a 21-page document that's unlike anything. And with all my classes and courses, as you know, being prescriptive, this course on how to manifest is there's exercises, protocols, worksheets. Like, it's a step by step process on actually how to do it. And it's the third different course that I'm now be teaching on money manifestation. I can't recommend it enough if you want to improve your financial health. So that starts on Sunday. Um, there's a way to sign up for the newsletter on my website. I'm always sending out a newsletter. I'm always doing things.
What website name? Can you cite that out?
Oh, yeah, it's a really long URL, but it's ascendthefrequencies.com. Ascendthefrequencies.com. And if you're interested in learning about any of the stuff that I go on and on about, it will change your life completely. If you're interested in it, just sign up on the newsletter, start to take a look at what classes and courses are upcoming. And if you're motivated and it speaks to you and there's resonance, do it. Invest in yourself. It'll change your life. If not, that's okay too. Just enjoy all the books and the videos that I do, and it's it's up to you. So the teachings on how to manifest, how to heal, how to deprogram yourself, how to master yourself, the teachings are here now. That's why I'm here. The teachings are here now. So if you're interested in it, just go for it.
Well, thank you so much. And one of the things, that I think sometimes people miss about money is free time, right? If you
Mm,
get the money taken care of, then all of a sudden you have flexibility,
yeah. Yeah.
which
And
is such a currency. So, so thank
yeah,
you
but
so much.
you got money. Yeah. Money is energy, right? And so the more energy you have, the more that you have that you can create with. And that's really it. That's the whole thing, right? And I want to say one more thing about this. So I want to make sure people, because I hear, well, RJ, you're a master. You're talking about money and this. I've never seen people get more triggered over a subject than money in my life. It's just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. It's almost like I shouldn't even talk about it. It's so odd. It's like I want better for everyone on this planet. So of course I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to teach everyone how to do it. And I also want to say one more thing about it. I actually have created multiple multi-million dollar businesses on my own. No employees, no investors, no government grant, nothing, nothing. I actually know how to do it. I share that because I know how to do it and I want to teach you how to do it. You don't need this and you don't need that. Once you understand how creation works, then it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's health, wealth, friendship, love, it doesn't really matter. So I want better for humans. And one of the ways that we can do this is our own economic vitality. Having greater fiscal health will keep us less under the thumb of any government or any money printers or anything else that goes on. So the more that we're able to provide for ourselves through mastering ourselves, the more freedom we're going to experience. And just like you said, Penny, the more time that we have, the life that we can create, the more that we can do for our kids, for our family, for our neighborhood, for the planet.
Mhm.
So that's part of why I'm so motivated to do it. And don't feel bad. Nobody, don't feel bad about wanting to improve the quality of your life as it relates to money. Money is not bad. I've looked deeply into this. And once you look deeply, you'll realize that money is innocent of everything you've ever accused it of. It's just energy. And I want you to be able to command energy as you deem fit. And that's what I teach.
Thank you. I so appreciate you saying that. A lot of people in the spiritual community, right, can really be down on the whole money thing. Oh, it should be donation or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? If you learn how to create money, you can create anything. So, so thank you so much, RJ. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us tonight. We're just tickled inside and wishing you all the best.
Oh, I really appreciate it. It was thank you for having me. And it's still weird, to be honest. It's still weird for me when people are like, "Oh, we're discussing your book. We have a book club or we're talking." It's almost like, "Really?" Sometimes I can't believe it, and then other times I'm like, "Okay, well, good. Yeah, these books are really helpful. I know why you're doing it. They're really helpful." But other times I'm just like, "Wow, it's really I don't know. Sometimes I can't believe that people actually take the time and get together to go over some of the stuff that I've written. So it's just an honor and a pleasure to be here. So thank you for having me, and I really mean
Oh,
it.
thank you so much. It's like you've been with us and you'll continue to be with us through your work. So thank you, RJ.
Thank you. You're a sweetheart, all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Take care.
Namaha.
I,
Thank
I'm sure
you.
I'll see you again.
I
Take
hope
care.
so. Bye.
Bye, everybody.